Close the doors of your mind. Close the gates of your mind. Close the gates of your palace, your ba'ith, your mishkan, your mikdash, your tent, your ahol, your body, your temple, your vessel, your sentient self. And bring your mind to balance within yourself, within your 12 cranial nerve, your 12 melanin centers, within your yod and your kaf that control your body, with your regal that allows, he said, the bar is a lamp unto my feet, your my regal and a light unto my pathway. Knowing that it lights the way back to Yahuwah Elohim, that one may be able to see and balance within themselves, to see within themselves the things that it try to exalt itself against the knowledge of Yahusha, Mashiach, and shine the light. But today is the day of freedom. Today is the day of Karoshi. Today is the day that Yahuwah has given to us as another Natan, a gift, that we may halal his name. Basham, he say halal, bash his name. That we may walk in righteousness and purity of mind. That we may take heed to his word and his warnings. For we know Yahuwah Elohim loves his children. And he remembers us always. Even as a father will remember a son, or a father will remember a daughter. He remembers us always. So we live in this world, we walk in righteousness. We remember the one who made all the heart of the earth, all in the heart of the earth, all the rivers and streams, and all the rivers that bottle your water that you drink. The one who gives life and understanding to our inner man and our inner being and allows us to walk in righteousness always. The one who gives consciousness to all creatures of the earth and all the animals that man stands in awe of, and all the animals that man runs away from, and all the animals that man kills for selfish self, for their own sport. Yahuwah Elohim. So this Yom, we acknowledge Yahuwah as the ruler of both good and evil in the earth. For he rules over all, he creates all. And he allows man to walk in peace, shalom, when he sees that appointed time to come. Right, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 11, and verse 1. The book of Tehillim, 11 and 1. In Yahuwah I take refuge. So you got to take refuge in Yahuwah. How can you say to my soul, flee like a bird to your mountain? Right, so how can you say that to your soul? Flee like a bird to your mountain, right? You ever seen a bird? They say a blue jay, a condor. You see the harpy eagle, right? You see how big that bird is, or the golden eagle, or the crown crane bird, right? He say, flee to the mountain. So that means you gotta fly. He said, how are you gonna be able to say that to my soul? For behold, the wicked bend the bow, right? He say, so when you start to fly, when you take up your wings, right, go in the book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 29. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 29. He will give power to the faint, and to him who has no might, he will increase strength. You know where strength comes from. He said, I'm going to increase your strength. He said, when you ain't got no might, I'm going to increase your strength. Why? Because when these things start to come about and the things start to be weakened in your life, he said, I'm going to increase your strength. Just like Nakim Yah said, you will strengthen my yard and my calf. Right? Notice how birds have two wings, one on the right and one on the left. And they flap their wings. And a hummingbird can't flap her wings. You see how fast the hummingbird flap their wings? And you can't even see it. But yet it moves fast, and it looks like an insect or in the sky, how fast it moves. But at the same time, you need your wings to fly. You need your yard and your calf. Right? And it says right here, even youths faint and be weary, and young men shall fall exhausted. Right? So please don't be thinking you ain't going to ever get weak. Because even Yahusha, when he got to the well, he was tired. He sat down in the well. He said, give me something to drink. He says, so how you ask to drink of somebody that's a Samaritan? Somebody ain't even a part of your people, right? Verse 31, but they who wait for Yahuwah shall renew their strength, right? So you got to wait. You got to renew your strength. He said, Nakim Yah had to wait too. Strengthen my yard and my calf. You got to wait to renew your strength. Especially when you're weakened down by sin and you're bogged down by your own life and you allow sin to weigh you down. Then you have to cast off all those things off your life, just like an eagle has to wait for his claws to grow back. You got to cast all that sin off, all them weights off, and you got to wait. You got to wait for your strength to come back, because don't seek out the things that are above your strength. That's what sin is. It's above your strength. And when you seek after sin and it weighs you down, it's going to take away your strength. And then after you cast it away, you got to wait for Yahuwah to give your strength back. Then when you get your strength back, this is what you're going to do. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. That's what's going to happen when you get your strength back. Now people say you can't get your strength back. Yes, you can. How you going to get up from the grave on the third day? How you going to get up when you hear the voice of Yahuwah and he said, come up? And you say there's going to come a day when you're going to hear the voice of Yahuwah and you're going to have to rise from the grave. So how you going to get up? They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. When Yahuwah give you your strength back, it's 10 times greater than your flesh. When you sinning in your flesh and you can run without fainting. It's even greater when you stop sinning. When you sinning and you can run and not be weary, when you sinning and you can still fly, understand you are Satan and you're a sorcerer. Right? You do those feats where they put all the amulets on their neck and they can fly across the sky. He said that's all you are. You can run and not faint. That means you're taking every single drug out here that literally make you, he said, you inorganic. Ain't nothing organic inside of you. It's all artificial. But when you stop sinning and then you cast all them weights off and you let Yahuwah renew your strength, then guess what? They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. He said, that's what's going to happen to you. But guess what? Going back to Psalms 11 and 1. Psalms 11 and 1, but guess what happens? Psalms 11 and 1. Psalms 11 and 1. It says, in Yahuwah I take refuge. How can you say to my soul, flee like a bird to your mountain? And when Yahuwah renew your strength. And guess what? For behold, the wicked bend the bow. That's what's going to happen to you. When you put away all your sins and your weights and everything, and you start to fly to Yahuwah's mountain, because you can fly now, because you can mount up with wings like eagles. And now the mountain of Yahuwah is going to be established in the top of the mountains and exalted above the highest hills and all the mountains, and all nations are going to flow. For behold, the wicked bend the bow. They have fitted their arrow to the string to shoot in the dark at the upright in heart, because now you got an upright heart. Now they're going to shoot their arrows at you and try to take you down because you flying. Now you flying, and now they want to shoot their arrows at you now because you don't put away your sin. You know what they started to do? Now they want to shoot at you now. Like, hold up, why you ain't shoot at me when I ain't have my wings? Why you ain't shoot at me when I wasn't flying? You want to wait till I start to elevate and start to fly, then you want to shoot at me. That's what human beings do. That's what human beings in this world do. That's what happens when you start to go from nothing, from the mud, like they say, you start to elevate, and now people want to start shooting at them. You want to start aiming their arrows. They think they somebody now. He's like, hold up, I got my wings back. Ruach Marakav al Hani. I can fly, I can ride on the wings of the wind now. I can get my food. Now they don't want you to have it. That's all it is. It says, if the foundations are destroyed, they can do, what can the righteous do, right? So if your foundation is destroyed, what can you do? Yahuwah is in his Kudash temple. Yahuwah's throne is in Shamayim. His eyes see. His eyelids test the children of Adam, right? So that's what happens. He can see everything that everybody's doing. And he's only there to test you, to see what's in your heart. So you need to find out what's in your heart to know what you need to cast away from your life. If you don't get to that point where you can realize what you need to cast away, Yahuwah gonna just watch you the whole time. And then when it's time for you to, how you say, to be cast down, and you finally cast away those weights, then he can give you strength. He can't give you strength while you're in that state. He can strengthen you to go the wrong way, but eventually say, I'm gonna see what their end gonna be, and I already know. I'm gonna visit your sin. And you're going to be cast down anyway. You're going to wait for me eventually. And guess what? Verse 5. Yahuwah tests the righteous. So he tests the Sadiq. He tests the just people. He's going to test you. Regardless of how much you ever took an exam or a test, some type of certification test. You got to study the material, then you get tested on it to see how great you are at it. Or you take a flight test. You do all the training, and then you finally get to fly. And then you're going to test you on your flight patterns and how you move in the air And he can be like, oh, you're not moving properly. So therefore, it's time for you to land. Because sometimes you get up there and you be like, man, I was up here. He's like, okay, you got to go land now. You got to go land. Even a bird has to go land on the tree eventually. Or you got to lodge up under a tree. Right? You can't have no children flying in the air all in the heights. You're going to have to come down like the bird and build a nest. And then you're going to have children. Eventually, you're going to have to land somewhere. Then you got to watch. Then you got to wait. Then you got to fly again, and you got children with you flying. But eventually, you got to come down. Right? It's just the way life is. The Yahuwah tests the righteous, but his soul hates the wicked. So please don't be thinking Yahuwah don't hate you. He do. When you wicked. His type of hate is different though. Guess what? The one who loves violence, unjust gain, Qahalath, because he tested Sadiq, it means just. But the one who has unjust violence, Qahalath, and unjust gain, and violence, guess what? He hates you too. His hate ain't the same type of hate you have. It's just a hate. He hates falsehood. Because the righteous hate falsehood. They hate lying. They hate deception. They hate shakir. They hate that. So Yahuwah is just the same way. I hate you. I still talk to you, but I hate you, Laban. Right? It's the same thing. I'll still talk to you, and I still try to work things out with you, Laban, but I still hate you. It's just really that simple. That's how Yahuwah is. Until you put away and you start to repent, then he'll be like, oh, okay, I love you now. That's how he works. And it says, verse 6 says, let him rain coals on the wicked. Fire and sulfur and scorching wind shall be the portion of his cup, of the cup. Right? So please don't be thinking that Yahuwah ain't going to repay you, right? Because we know this. And you be say, why? Well, this is the whole point. Right? So this is the book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah. This is all a part of it. Isaiah chapter, go to 29. Go to Isaiah chapter 29 and verse 1. Isaiah 29 and 1. It says, Ariel, the city of David encamped, add year to year. Let the feast run their round. Yet I will distress Ariel, and there shall be moaning and lamentation, and she shall be to make me like Ariel, like in Ariel. And I will encamp against you all around, and will besiege you with towers. And I will raise siege works against you, and you will be brought low. From the earth you shall speak. Why? Because you were high. You were riding on the wings of the wind. Now I'm going to bring you down. I have to. That's how Yahuwah is. And from the dust your speech shall be bowed down. Why? You're going to be shakar. You're going to be in sackcloth and ashes. You're going to be black to the ground. That's what's going to happen to you, like Yahusha said. You know how people twist that scripture. So you're going to be black. Your skin is black to the ground. Not even knowing that he's talking about sackcloth and ashes and repenting and getting in yourself in it. They say in fasting and prayer, get out of your sin. Right? It says, and you will be brought low from the earth, and you shall speak. And from the dust of your speech will be bowed down. Man, you're going to be down on the ground because Yahuwah is against you, just like we just read in the Psalms. He hates you. So I got to bring you down. Your voice shall come from the ground like the voice of a ghost. He said, man, you just like somebody dead. A spirit. And from the dust your speech shall whisper. He said, you're going to whisper. But the multitude of your foreign foes shall be like small dust, and the multitude of your ruthless like passing chaff. And in an instant, suddenly, you will be visited by Yahuwah of hosts, right? With thunder, and with earthquake, and with a great noise, and with the whirlwind, and the tempest, and a flame of devouring fire. All because one has flew, one was high, and then one started to have behaviors that Yahuwah didn't like. And guess what? Going back to Psalms 11 and 6, we're getting out of here. Psalms 11 and 6 says, let him rain coals on the wicked. Fire and sulfur and scorching wind shall be the portion of their cup. Now you see why Book of Revelation talking about give him a cup without mixture. He said, why are you going to give him a cup without mixture? That's the book of Hazum, Revelation, because the whole book is about Yasharal. It was always about Israel, 12 tribes, descendants of Abraham, your code that he swore to. He said, give him a cup without mixture. He said, let him drink all of it. And you'd be like, why he say all that? Because Yahuwah is not playing in the book of Hazum. Because he was tired of the people he hate because they falsehood. That's all he was upset about. That's all he's upset about. That's all he's upset. He's tired of Yasharal, Yehuda, and all those who joined to Yasharal. So all those around looking at Yasharal, not even knowing that he's going to plague you because of Yasharal, Yehuda, and those who joined to Yasharal, who don't worship him and who don't adhere to his commandments, and those who don't walk in his righteous rules. That's why he said, here's the patience of the saints, those who keep the commandments and the testament of Yahusha, because everybody who do it ain't going to be in the kingdom. That's the only reason he has it in there. He said, we keep the commandments and the testimony of Yahusha Mashiach. Don't mean you don't get in the kingdom, though. He's still going to plague the heck out of this earth because of you. Because you said that you his covenant, his bride, but then you do opposite of what his bride's supposed to do. So then now he's upset at you. That rhymes too. And that's what the book of Revelation all about, because he's upset with his bride. He's going to be upset with the people who come against his bride. He's going to be upset with the people who don't do what he's supposed to do in his bride. So and they ain't going to repent either. Just like the children of Yasharal in the wilderness, right? But it says, verse 7, for Yahuwah is righteous, and he loves righteous deeds, right? He's Sadiq, and he loves Sadaqah. He loves righteous deeds. The upright shall behold his face. Now you see why. He said the upright gonna behold his face. He said, I love righteous deeds. But guess what happens? Deeds start to get corrupt, right? Right, so go in the book of Ecclesiastes. I go to Yeshayahu chapter 1. Isaiah chapter 1, verse 15. Isaiah chapter 1, Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 15. It says, when you spread out your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. Right, why? Going up to verse 12. When you come up here before me, who has it required of you this trampling of my courts? Who did this? Bring no vain offerings. Incense is an abomination to me. Your Kadash Yarek, your Shabbats, and your new months, and your Shabbats, and the calling of convocation, I cannot endure. Iniquity and solemn assembly. Your new moons and your appointed feasts, my soul hates. Why he hated? Because you practice falsehood. Because you're wicked. And you lie. You disappoint people. And you're deceptive and you're full of deceit. That's why he hate you. He said, I hate you. Right? He hate his bride because of that. And then when he says, they have become a burden to me, then you become like a burden, a weight. You become like a weight. Right? You be like the wicked woman who don't comfort her husband in the book of Sirach to Yahuwah himself. Because Yahuwah likes songs. He liked bread. He liked to be served and all that. Now you become a burden. You become a weight to him. And the only thing he's thinking about is casting you aside. That's why we got cast out of Jerusalem. It's the very same thing. It's a relationship problem book. That's all it is. And you know what he says? They have become a burden to me. I am weary of bearing them. Isn't the strong supposed to bear the infirmities of the weak? Yahuwah is supposed to bear all our infirmities of the weak. Even Yahusha himself bore our sin and we're supposed to bear the infirmities of the weak because they are the weaker nature. But in Yahuwah, like, man, I am weary of bearing all y'all stuff. That's how Yahusha was on totality. Think about how he felt when he had to say, my Elohim, why hast thou forsaken me? And then he had to deal with the fact that Yahuwah was really tired of bearing all Yasharal and Yehuda's sin And now he like, I'm weary of this. Because you can't make somebody get tired and weary and bearing your stuff and your sin. It can get tiresome. Guess what happens? Verse 15, when you spread out your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. You like, you know how people want something? You ever seen a child come up to you and open their hands up and they say, you get some cookies in your hand, and that child come up and he'll like open his hand up, like he'll keep moving his hand over and over again, both hands. And like, you gonna put something in my hand? And you feel like, Yahuwah, like, I ain't putting nothing in your hand. Because you are wearying me, and I'm tired of bearing y'all sin, children of Yahusha. And you want to ask me for stuff. Because you see me got some stuff, but you don't want to give me nothing. Right? That's how Yahuwah is, though. When you spread out your hands, I will hide my eyes from you, even though you make many prayers. Please, 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 please give me this. Please, can I have one? Can I have two? Can I have three? Can I have five? Please? Even though you offer many prayers, I will not listen. Now you see why Yahusha said, ask in my name and you shall give. Wait, let me go there now. People say, why? There's a reason why Yahusha came on the scene. Right, this is the book of Matthew. You say, why he say all this stuff? It should be right on point. People don't know it. Go to John, Yuchanan chapter 14 and verse 1. Yuchanan chapter 14 and verse 12. John chapter 14 verse 12. Yuchanan chapter 14 verse 12. Truly, truly, I say to you, whosoever believes in me will also do the works that I do. So, everything you see Yahuwah do, Yahusha said, everything the Father do, the Son does likewise. So Yahusha, like, you see what Yahuwah did in Yeshayahu 1, and you see what? Truly I say to you, whosoever believes in me will do also the works that I do. And greater works than these will he do, because I am going to my Father. You know, the same Father we're reading about. Whatever you ask in my name, this I will do. Why? You're going to offer him prayer. You're going to ask him prayer. He's going to give it to you. Why? Because you ain't practicing falsehood. That my Father may be kabod, glorified in the Son. That's the only reason he's going to give it to you. But how you going to get kabod in the Son? He said, when I'm weary of bearing all your stuff. But then he's like, I'm going to give it to you because it's the Father's glory, right? Verse 14, if you ask me anything in my name, I will do it. But he's already Yeshayahu. He was like, though you offer many prayers to me, I'm going to hide my face from you. But let's see why he's going to hide his face, why he hid his face in Yeshayahu chapter 1. Verse 15, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. That's the reason why. You don't love me, do you? So I hate you. That's how Yahuwah is. You hate me, so therefore I hate you too. You love me, I love you. That's how he is. And I will ask the Father, and he will give you another helper to be with you forever. I'm going to give you a servant. Even the Ruach of truth, I'm going to give you a spirit to be a servant to you. Whom the world cannot receive. The world can't receive this companion, this servant that I'm going to bring to you, because it neither sees him nor knows him. Why? Because you can't see it. You know, the world is carnal nature. They only can receive things they can see. And they can't know it because they can't accept it. You know him, for he dwells with you and will be in you. That's how you're going to know it. Because it's going to be in you. Going back to Yeshayahu, Isaiah chapter 1. Yeah, going back to it. Yeah. Isaiah chapter 1. Sorry. Yeah. Isaiah chapter 1:15. Isaiah chapter 1:15. It says, when you spread out your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. Even though you make many prayers, I will not listen. For your hands are full of blood. Wash yourselves, make yourselves clean. He's like, look at your hands, they dirty. And get what he says? Remove the evil of your deeds. Then Yahuwah said, I like righteous deeds. We just read it. But he said, your evil deeds. Remove your evil deeds, what you do, from before my eyes, because Yahuwah watching everything. Cease to do evil. Right? That's it. Learn to do good. That's all you got to do. Seek judgment, mishpat, justice, correct oppression. Bring justice to the fatherless and plead the widow's cause. That's all he wants us to do. Come now, let us reason together, says Yahuwah. Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be what? He says, though your sins are like scarlet, why do you think you dress Yahusha in the scarlet robe? Crimson robe. Why do you think they did that? Because men's hands are full of blood. And amazing that they punched him in the face and they smacked him too. They say, Naba you Mashiach, who hit you? Because you can Naba, you can speak prophecy. Come now, let us reason together, says Yahuwah. Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be white as snow. So your deeds, look at your deeds. Though they are red like crimson, though you full of blood, you covered in blood, they shall become like wool. If you are willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. But if you refuse and rebel, you shall be eaten by the sword, for the mouth of Yahuwah has spoken. Why? Because everything that Yahuwah does is all a part of his way. Right? It's all a part of his way. Right, so this is the book of Psalms. This is the book of Psalms. Right. Let's go to Job. Job. Job chapter 22. Job chapter 22, verse 1. Then Eliphaz the Timnite answered and said, can a man be profitable with Yahuwah Elohim? Surely he who is wise is profitable to himself. You should be. Is it any pleasure to the Almighty if you are in the right? Because be wise for yourself. Any man who lacks wisdom, let him ask Yahuwah. He gives it abundantly. Or is it gain to him to make your ways blameless? Who is it gain for? If for you. To mend your deeds and get righteous deeds and learn to and put away your evil and learn to do good. This is for you. Verse 4. It is for your fear of him that he reproves you. That's the only reason he's doing it. Why? And enters into judgment with you. He didn't tell you to seek after that. And then he says, is not your evil abundant? Are not your evil deeds abundant? That's the only reason he's doing it. Because though your garments are like scarlet and crimson, then you're going to be like wool and white as snow. Right? But he says, there is no end to your iniquities. Right? For you have exacted pleasures of your brother for nothing, and stripped the naked of their clothing. You have given no water to the weary to drink, and you have withheld bread from the hungry. Look at your evil deeds. He said, cast your bread upon the waters. You don't know what disaster is going to come. You see all the disasters that's coming on the earth now? You be like, man, why are you throwing all your bread out here? He like, man, do you see what's happening? Man, you're gonna need that. You're gonna need that bread to survive. You don't even know what's gonna happen. Right? You have given no water to the weary to drink, and you withheld bread from the hungry. The man with power possessed the land, and the favored man lived in it. You have sent widows away empty-handed, empty, and in the arms of the fatherless you crushed all your evil deeds. Yahuwah loves good deeds, righteous deeds, but you see evil deeds these people have done. Now you see why Yahuwah upset. I don't get paid for this. People say you get paid. He said you don't get paid for this. Right? You know how he says you crush these people. Verse 10, therefore snares are all around you. Now you see why now you see why you in a place or in a people or in a household, people who do these things, and you go outside. You got all these snares that be snatching you behind up. You got all these plagues that be happening all around you. You be seeing, man, why all this stuff happening? Because of the evil of your deeds. Or the evil of the deeds of other people around you. And these are all part of your punishments. That's why you get all these evil things happening. You be like, okay, what everybody doing? That's all it means. It says, and sudden terror overwhelms you. Now you see why. I got an earthquake, a storm, an earthquake, a fire, vapor of smoke, a hurricane. You be like, what in the world going on? Because of your evil deeds. You be like, nah, it's the government, it's the Satan. Nah, that's Yahuwah. Yahuwah sent whirlwinds out of you, and Satan be the main one, got the power to do it, and you can't stop it. They cloud seed your head in, right? Your head get cloud seed in, and you mess around it. Geostorm, you go watch the movie Geostorm, they geostorm the heck out of your behind, right? Because Yahuwah give them power to do it. That's just the way it works. Therefore snares all around you, and sudden terror overwhelms you. Or darkness, so that you cannot see, man. Blackout, man. All your power go out. You ain't got no electricity. Man, you got no. You depending. You say, man, I got solar power. You like, yeah. Well, you will say, I'm gonna block out the sun now. Cause being that you boasting about that, thinking you prepared, I'm gonna get your mind. That's how Yahuwah is, though. So you cannot see, and a flood of waters cover you. That's why now you get a flood, and people like, wow, this stuff happened because the evil of your deeds. This has nothing to do with anything else. Guess what 12 says? Is not Elohim high in the Shamayims? See the highest stars, how lofty they are. But you say, what does Yahuwah know? Elohim know. Can he judge through the deep darkness? He said, man, I can see you. Will not Yahuwah discover this? Man, he's going to discover all your secrets. He said, man, he see everything you doing. Thick clouds veil him so that he does not see. All right? He walks on the vaults of the Shamayim, man. He up there. Like, how he see me? Will you keep the old way that wicked men have tried? Now you got to think about that. Will you keep the old way that wicked men and women have trodden, the things that they've done? You see all the things that happen, and you be like, man, I'm going to keep doing what they do. You see all the disasters that happen, so you're going to keep doing what they do. They were snatched away before their time, and you're going to die. You're wicked. You're going to die for your time. You're going to live out your days. Their foundations was washed away, your whole foundation. It's like a flood. Why? Because you built your house in the sand. Because you got sin. You got all the things in your life. You got sin. They said to Elohim, depart from us. Right? You keep, okay. You know what happens after that? You start telling it, speak of a smooth thing, get thee out of the ways, prophesy, not but deceit. Right? That's what you're going to tell the person. Why? Because now you want to get out of it. You will depart from us. And what can the Almighty do to us? He's like, man, you can't do nothing. Yet he filled their houses with good things. And guess what? Yahuwah fill your house with good things. But the counsel of the wicked is far from me, right? And that's what happens. The righteous see it and are glad. The innocent one mocks at them, saying, surely our adversaries are cut off. And what they left, the fire has consumed. Right, so this is the book of, this is the Psalm of Solomon, Pseudepigrapha, Psalm of Solomon, Pseudepigrapha, Volume 1. Psalm of Solomon, pseudepigrapha, Volume 1, Chapter 5, and verse 14. Actually, verse 13. Actually, go to verse 12. Let's go to verse 8, 5 and 8. For if I am hungry, I will cry out to you, O Elohim, and you will give me something. You were like, though you offer me prayers, I'm going to hide my face from you, right? But Yahusha said, I'm going to give you anything you ask, I'm going to do it. Because you ain't practicing falsehood. You're not oppressing anybody. But guess what it says? You feed the birds and the fish, right? What do you say to my soul? Like a bird, fly to your mouth. As you send rain to the wilderness, that the grass may sprout, to provide pasture in the wilderness for every living thing. And if they are hungry, they will lift up their face to you. You feed kings and rulers and people, O Elohim. And who is the hope of the poor and the needy? If not you, Yahuwah. Right? And you will listen. He said, I'm going to listen. Why? Because you ain't practicing falsehood. But guess what happens? For who is good and kind but you, making the humble person happy? The Einu Anah, Anuas, Sanah, shall fall, right? You make them happy by opening your hand in mercy. There it is. Now you see why Yahusha was on the scene. First, Yahuwah was like, you offer many prayers. I'm not, you're going to open your hand, lift your hands, open your hands out to me. I'm not going to give you nothing. But then Yahusha come on the scene because he was in the image and likeness of his Father's mercy. Because when you see Yahuwah appear to Mashah, he said, Yahuwah, great in power, forgiving sins, transgressions, merciful, compassionate, forgiving sins, transgressions, and iniquity, and no wise clearing the guilty. But then you see Yahusha coming on the scene, he said, anything you ask in my name, I'm going to give it to you. Because Yahusha is the image and likeness of mercy. The very same thing that you're supposed to not be able to get eternal life or even have the opportunity at it. That's why he said, you asking in my name. Because if you ask in your name, you ain't getting nothing. If you ask in the name of your fathers and the way they trod in the old way, you ain't going to get nothing from you. You ain't giving you jack. Because his son done came here and died, rose, and ascended. So that's why you got to ask anything in his name. You got to go through him to get it. He's the third party. He's like the person he's the bank teller. And you got to ask the manager if you can have some money. He's the bank teller and say if you can have some food. Let me go ask the manager first. What do you mean? I thought you were the manager. No, I'm just the supervisor. I'm just the person you're asking for it. But then I got to ask the manager to see if I can open the vault. If he says no, then I can't open the vault. So you saying y'all can't have my food, my money, my bread, my lakam, my barley and my wheat? No. Until I gotta go ask him. What's your name again? My name is Yahusha. Oh yes, okay. So go ask him my name, Yahusha. Go ask your manager, Yahusha, so he can see if he can open the vault. And you better be real kind to the, how you gonna be kind to the teller. Give me my blanket money, blanket trick. What you think this is? I put my money in, I put my barley and wheat in your vault, and you ain't gonna give me my stuff. What you gonna say that? You ask, but you ask wrong. You know what is that? Let me go ask that again. Let me stop. Right, let me go there. You say, why you say that? Because these are all a part of life, but people don't understand this. Right, this is the book of... Right, so these people say, wow. Right, so this is the book of Hebrews. I think that's what it is. I think it's James or Hebrews. Concerning your lust. That's what you ask. Right, this book, James, James chapter 4. James chapter 4 and verse 1. Job chapter 4 and verse 1. What causes quarrels and what causes fights among you? Is it not this, that your passions are at war within you? Right? So you go inside of yourself. That's where it's at. It's not on the outward, man. It's all on the inside. You desire and you do not have. You murder and you covet and you cannot obtain. You fight and quarrel. You do not have because you do not ask. He said, anything you ask in my name, it shall be given to you. But guess what you do? You fight, you quarrel, you murder, you you have evil desires. Right? You have so many things going on, but then he says, verse 3, you ask and do not receive because you ask wrongly. Because you got all those behaviors, and you practice falsehood, and then you ask wrong. Then Yahusha looking at you like, you're going to ask that in my name? And you want me to go ask Yahuwah to give this to you, huh? No. First, cleanse out the old leaven. You know, the old way that your fathers did and the old path that they walked and, the things that they were doing. First, cleanse out the old leaven that you may be a new lump. Didn't ask me. It says to spend it on your passions, because when you have all these emotions, erratic, fighting, quarreling, right, murder, you have all that in your heart. You're not gonna do the things that Yahuwah gives you. You're gonna do it through the passions that's in your flesh. And when you get it, it's all going, and then you're gonna use it for your passions in your flesh, and it's gonna be through murder, quarreling. That's the only reason you're gonna be doing anything. Anything you buy, anything you own, anything you do, it's all gonna be through your quarreling, your fighting, your murdering that you've been doing before you asked, if he gave it to you. Do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with Elohim? Because that's what people in the world do. Therefore, whosoever wishes to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of Elohim. Why? Because of your deeds. Your evil deeds makes you an enemy of Elohim, because you're like the world, people in the world. Or do you suppose it is no purpose that the scripture says he yearns jealousy over the spirit, Ruach, that he has made to dwell in us? But he gives more calm. Therefore it says, Elohim opposes the proud, but gives calm to the humble. The Anu Shafal Sanah Anua. Submit yourselves therefore to Elohim. Resist Satan and he will flee from you, because he's a coward. It's really that simple. He's the fleeing serpent. That's what his name is. Nakash is the fleeing serpent, right? And he inside of us. That's how he works. Really going to Psalms of Solomon 5, almost finished, and 13. 5 and 13. Human kindness comes sparingly in tomorrow, right? Going to verse 12. Psalm of Solomon 5 and 12. And you will listen, for who is good and kind but you? Making the humble person happy, he shall kind to the humble, by opening your hand in mercy. Human kindness comes sparingly and tomorrow. And if it comes a second time without complaint, this is remarkable. He's like, man, without complaining, kindness from a human, right? But your gift is abundantly good and rich, man. When Yahuwah do stuff, it's different. And the one whose hope is in you will not be lacking gifts, right? There's a lot of gifts Yahuwah can give. You can give gifts of children. You can give gifts of baraks, of gifts of the Ruach, right? He gives gifts, all types of gifts he gives. He gives gifts unto men and women. Right, these are gifts of the Ruach, right? He also gives gifts of children, gift of money, gift of financial gain, 100-fold and eternal life, right? When Yahuwah give gifts, it ain't like human gifts, right? Yahuwah, your mercy is upon the whole world in goodness, right? So please don't think Yahuwah ain't only merciful to you. Right? And guess what it says? Happy is the person whom Elohim remembers with a moderate sufficiency. For if one is excessively rich, he sins. Now you see why. You say, why moderately? Right? You say, I get it all in one lump thing. You say, Yahuwah's like, I do it moderately. Why? Because if you get excessive, you're going to sin. That's why we just read, you consume it on your passions. Right? Murder, quarreling, fighting. You get too much stuff. And you start thinking you all that. And you start assassinating, and your words start to change. You start to become like the world. And you start to lose your humbleness. You start to lose your gentle. You start to lose who you are. And then guess what happens after that? Then Yahuwah said, I got to take you down. Storm, earthquake, flood, vapor of smoke, fire. Right? He's going to take you down. Guess what it says? Moderate wealth is adequate with righteousness, with tzedakah, with good deeds. But guess what? For with this comes Yahuwah's Barak, to be more than satisfied with righteousness. Those who fear Yahuwah are happy with good things. He said, that's the reason why. When you start to fear Yahuwah, you be happy with the good that he gives you. Because you asked for it and he gave it to you, and it was good for you to do more tzedakah and righteousness. And when you stop doing righteousness and you start getting abundance above, guess what? You start to sin. You start to lose your mind. Or you start to lose your rosh. You start to lose your mind. Right? And guess what? Those who fear Yahuwah are happy with good things. In your kingdom, your goodness is upon Yasharal. May the kabod of Yahuwah be praised, right? It also says, happy is the man whom Yahuwah remembers with rebuke, right? Right, going to 6 and 1. Psalms of Solomon 6 and 1. Happy is the man or woman whose heart is ready to call on the name of Yahuwah, right? He said, when you're ready. You know what happens? When he remembers the name of Yahuwah, he will be saved. His ways are directed by Yahuwah, and the works of his hands are protected by Yahuwah, his Elohim, right? Right, going to verse 3. His soul will not be disturbed by the visions of evil dreams. He said, when you start to fear Yahuwah, when you start to become righteous, when you start to have them righteous deeds, he said, you're not going to be fearful of evil dreams anymore. Guess what? And he or she will not be frightened when crossing rivers of rough seas. You start to go through the storms, and you get hurricanes and storms and winds and all these things. You no longer be afraid anymore. Master, 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 you carrying out that we perish. Right? They ain't going to be you anymore. You're not going to be afraid by evil dreams anymore. You're not going to be afraid on the ship and the seas tossing. Why? Because Yahusha said, oh, ye a little Muna, why you doubt? Shalom. Shalom, Akim, Malakim. When he was on the ship. You know, with the advanced level prodigy kids that the children that he had, and was teaching them and trying to advance them in a different mindset than those who were of Yasharal at that time. Yeah, those people, right? He was trying to do something for them. And guess what? He gets up from his sleep and blesses the name of Yahuwah. Why do you think Yahusha got up when he was on the ship in Mark chapter 4 and he said, Shalom? He got up from his sleep. He said, you sleeping in the ship. Not even knowing you don't know him, right? Because if you know him, then you'll understand him, male and female. And guess what? He prays to Yahuwah for his household. And Yahuwah has heard the prayers of all who fear Elohim. Now he said he hear you. But you don't want to be in that state where Yahuwah lift your hand up and Yahuwah don't hear nothing you say. You offer many prayers. And he be like, man, what's going on? Or people doing things in your household that may have your prayers be hindered. Or you doing things in your household that have your prayers be hindered. These are all a part of it. All right, so going back to, man, where we put that? How do we get over here? Oh, yeah. Psalm chapter 11, verse 7. Let's go ahead. For Yahuwah is righteous, and he loves righteous deeds. The upright shall behold his face. He said, you behold his face, right? He said, you're going to behold him. Why? Because he said you're going to behold his face, right? Go in the book of Proverbs. He said you're going to behold his face. Go in the book of Psalms. Go to Psalms. What time is it? Psalms 106, 33. Psalms 106 and 31. Psalms 106 and 31. And that was counted to him as righteousness, right? Going over to verse 28. Verse 29. They provoked Yahuwah to anger with their deeds. What you do, your evil deeds. Yahuwah love good deeds. And a plague broke out among them, right? Now you see why. People say, why all these things be happening? Because Yahuwah hates your deeds, the behaviors that we do. Then Phinehas stood up and intervened, and the plague was stayed. Why? Because he brought a woman in there who was a prostitute that from Balaam. He brought him in the congregation, and he thought he was boasting about his little woman he got. The woman was a married woman from Balaam's lineage, when he set up, and he took one of them and he brought him into place, and he thought he was somebody. And Yahuwah, he threw a spear through him and the woman. That's what Yahuwah did to Adam and Ka'ur when he cast them out of the garden. And that's what Yahuwah gonna do to your household if you don't repent. Right? That's how it works. Verse 30. Then Phinehas stood up and intervened, and the plague was stayed. And that was counted to him as righteousness from generation to generation forever. Now you see why he told Ezekiel, if you don't be dismayed don't be dismayed by their face, I won't be dismayed with you. Or Ezekiel, when he said, if you see the sword coming, you don't say nothing, then I'm gonna be against you. And the blood gonna be on your hands. You're gonna have bloody hands. You know how we read in Yahusha chapter 1? They got bloody hands, you can be like, that's gonna be your hand. Then I'm gonna plague you. So now you're seeing like Shemuel, when Shemuel had that vision, and Eli said, yeah, if you don't say nothing, I'm gonna let it happen to you. He was talking to a child. So think about that. So you might as well say something. So it's better you don't say something, don't say nothing. Don't say nothing then see what happens. He's gonna come find you. You're gonna get your punishment. Then Phinehas stood up and intervened, and the plague was stayed, and that was counted to him as righteousness from generation to generation forever. They angered him at the waters of Meribah, and then went ill with Mishah on their account, for they made his ruach bitter. You know what happens when you get bitter? You know what bitterness is, right? It's wormwood. It's poison. You get bitter inside. It creates resentment. Bitterness is a feeling of being treated unfairly. You get bitter. There's only a certain much a person can take. He was knew. He was a Nah. He was a Nuah. He was Shafar. He was Sanah. He was meek. He was gentle. But there's only so much you can take. Then he got bitter. You know what happens when you get bitter? You start throwing out poison. You turn into Nakash, reptilian. You start turning into Malak Rasha. And you're going to become like an adder in the Prince of Darkness. That's what's going to happen. Because it's inside of you. People say you're the Prince of Righteousness, and evil and good is inside of you. I know people thinking like, you want to see a demon. You ever seen the spirit? You know, the spirit on the inside of you. Malak Rasha on the inside of you. You can turn into the adder reptilian, Malak Rasha darkness. Or you can be the Prince of Righteousness and smiling and loving and caring. It all depends on which one you choose. That's why you gotta choose every day. It's not a one day thing, a feast day thing, or a Shabbat thing. This is a everyday thing. I gotta choose who I'm gonna serve, either the light or the darkness. Either I'm gonna choose the healthy eye or the evil eye. Either it depends on which one you want to choose, because a lot of the body is the eye. Right? You know I'm saying a lot of things, but that's a lot. They angered the waters of Meribah, and they went ill with Mishah on their account. For they made his spirit ruach bitter. I told you there's only so much you can take. Man, anybody who will say, I'm weary of bearing all y'all. I'm weary of bearing all of this. In the book of Yeshayahu, he said, I'm weary of bearing all y'all stuff now. I'm tired. The strong ought to bear the infirmity of the weak. But man, y'all, guess what? And he spoke rashly with his lips. Now you see why. People say, what he said all that for? He'd be like, it's because he's bitter. People say, man, they sent me an email text. Why y'all hate our country? Why we want to know what y'all think. Why you hate us? What's your thoughts? Man, people hate you, right? They say, when you make their spirit bitter, so they speak rashly with their lips. They start saying all type of things you never heard before. You be like, man, what happened? Why you like that? That's how Yahuwah is. But guess what? They did not destroy. They did not destroy the peoples as Yahuwah commanded them. Why? And he says, but they mixed with the nations and learned to do what they did. Now you see why he said, you like the world. We just read in James chapter 1. He said, y'all murder, y'all quarrel, y'all fight like people in the world. You learn the ways of the nations to go in. That's what they do. And then you want to ask Yahuwah for stuff? You ask him wrong. They going to lift up 1,000 prayers. You lift up 1,500 prayers a day. All y'all combined, 1,000 people in your congregation, 1,500 prayers a day. You were like, I don't hear none of them. Just because you hate one person, just because you hate, y'all going against one person. Just like the people did with Dawid with the conspiracy. He said, man, he going to be discouraged. Everybody going to leave from him. He going to be alone. But Yahusha said, he said, I ain't going to be alone, for Yahuwah is always with me, even though you all going to leave me alone. See, when you know Yahusha, when things like that happen, you just be like, that's how it works. That's how when you get that mindset like Yahusha had, we start to understand them. Verse 35, but they mixed in with the nations and learned to do as they did. And you think Yahuwah going to listen to your prayers? No. Verse 36, they served their idols. And that's what people are doing today. Yahuwah, Yah, all the other gods. And then you be like, now you don't serve their gods. And you start to do what they do. And you know what happens after that? They served their idols, which became a snare to him. Then we just reading Yeshayahu, there's a bunch of snares around. He's going to leave a bunch of snares. He said the wicked are like shoot the arrows at you when you start to fly to Yahuwah's mountain, but then they're going to be a bunch of snares to you. You'll be turned into a bunch of snares. They're going to try to ensnare you, and they did. They sacrificed their sons and their daughters to the demons, right? You gave your children over to the demons. You say, man, I literally... No, you know how you give your children over to demons. You ain't got you give them a cereal and give them some milk, and you know what's in it, right? And you know what's gonna do to their mind. You be like, man, what's wrong with y'all? Y'all acting crazy, right? And you be like, you did it. You gave your children over to the demons, right? It ain't gotta just be like what people think. You can do all this. It don't matter. Yeah, all right. It's the children. It's for the children, right? You know how it is. No, it ain't. It's for you, so you can be accepted, so you can look good in front of other people, so you won't look bad, you won't lose no money, or you won't lose that trade deal you got. That's all it's about. They poured out innocent blood, the blood of their sons and their daughters. And I see why they pierced Yahusha in the side, out came blood and water. That was Yahuwah's son. And you piercing the side, out came blood and water. That's what you do to your own children. You poured out innocent blood. Now I see brother touching brother, children shooting each other, 13, 15, 10 years old. Now they got guns and shooting each other. Because you do after the world ways now. They poured out innocent blood, the blood of their sons and their daughters, whom they sacrificed to the idols of Canaan, right? Now back in the day, they were literally doing sacrifices and killing them. But now you just give them over to the other gods. Like, yeah, you know, y'all can watch them for a week through 7 weeks, right? Now you be like, give them over to other gods, and other gods train them up. And then guess what happens? Whom they sacrificed to the idols of Canaan, and the land was polluted with blood. Now you see where your hands bloody. And you will say, though you offer many prayers to me, I'm not going to hear nothing you say. Because your hands full of blood. Thus they became unclean by their acts and played the whore in their deeds. Now you see, you just like the prostitute. You say you see what they do, and then you mimic what they do, and then guess what? Now you're a prostitute. just like them. See, prostitution ain't just gotta be fornication, sleeping around, all that stuff people do and get paid money, right? You can give your children over to Molech, to the gods, and you get paid. That child will cut you the check after they get that money. That's the same thing. But he gonna take care of me, boy. Once I get that money, though. You know how it is. Verse 40, then the anger of Yahuwah was kindled against his people, and he abhorred his heritage. Right? Yahuwah don't want nothing to do with you. Man, look how they look. Oh, no. That. You ever drew up a business plan, and you see the business plan, then you see the people supposed to execute the business plan, and then you see the people, you be like, this ain't my company. No, this ain't my vision. My vision was totally different than what this is. This ain't my company. I got to change the name. And you be like, why Yahuwah be changing people's name? It's the reason why. He be like, I got to change the name. I got to change the name of the company because the company ain't what I was supposed to be. I know it said last time, it said the company supposed to be this name. I got to change the name, the copyrights. I got to change the whole thing just so, because that ain't what my vision was. That ain't what I envisioned for my children, my family to look like 20 years from now, 100 years from now, 400 years from now. That's not what I wanted. He abhorred his heritage. He gave them into the hand of the nation. He's like, y'all go do what y'all want. You'll see when I change the name. When I change the name and I move it over to a whole nother thing. I'm gonna change it over. You just ain't gonna know it though. I'm gonna send my son. He gonna die. He gonna shed his blood for your bloody hands. Then I'm gonna make their deeds clean with washing white. Then I'm gonna transfer it over, and I'm gonna leave you over with that old name. You ever seen these contracts or anything? They'll have an old contract, but then they'll be like, man, the contract done changed. You'll see it on the blockchain. They'll be like, the contract done changed. Be like, why the contract changed? Because the other contract been corrupted. I don't want that contract no more. You see that? And then they change it over, and then you be like, man, I got scammed. No, you didn't. It's just the fact that everybody was on the contract was just wicked. That's the only reason they changed it. You're wicked. Right? Y'all be scamming. Right? And that's what he did. It's the same type thing, but it's just analogy. And he gave them to the hands of the nations so that those who hated them ruled over them. They hate you. Please don't think that they love you. He said they hate you because of your deeds that you did before, but then you start doing their deeds and what they do, now they hate. I'm going to give you the people who hate you. They hate you. Please don't be thinking they love you. They hate you. When you worship their gods and you go serve them and you get your children and you try to say Yahuwah name, Yahusha, and you try to say all the other names with them, and understand they hate your everlasting guts. They don't love you. They hate your everlasting guts. You be mixing their names in with Yahuwah name, Yahusha name. They don't be listening to you. Their enemies oppressed them, and they were brought into subjection under their power. Many times he delivered them, but they were rebellious in their purpose, and were brought to low through their iniquity. Now you see why he bring you low. He shall fall. He bring you down because of your iniquity. Nevertheless, he looked upon their distress when he cried, when he heard their cry. For their sake, he remembered his covenant. He said, I remember now. And relented according to the abundance of his steadfast love. And he caused them to be pitied by all those who held them captive. So how you going to get pitied? Because it ain't going to get no easier. You got to cry to Yahuwah that he can tell your captives to have pity on you because he controls them too. You got to change your evil deeds, your evil eye, your evil deeds to good deeds in Yahuwah's sight so he can tell them have pity on you. That's the only way it's going to work. You got to stop what you're doing. And guess what? Save us, O Yahuwah Elohim. Gather us from the nations that we may give thanks to your Kodash name and kabod in your praise. Gather us from the nations that we can that we can destroy and kill people and kill their houses and destroy their lives and rule over them with a rod of iron. That's not what he said. Save us, O Yahuwah Elohim. Gather us from the nations, that we may give thanks to your Kudash name, that we may say thank you, Yahuwah, for doing this. And kabod, glory in your praise. The reason why a lot of y'all, he said, the reason why we ain't gathered, he said, why you ain't get gathered yet? Because you want to get gathered for the wrong reasons. He want to gather, we want to be gathered so we can give thanks to you. Thank you for doing that. Give praise to your name. That's what we want to be gathered for. We want to be gathered for the reason you want to be gathered for. He said, can two walk together except they be agreed? Verse 48, Barak be Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yasharal, from everlasting to everlasting. And let all the people say, Amen. Praise Yahuwah. Right? That's what you want to do. But while we went there, we're going to the book of Bereshit, chapter 30. Almost finished. Bereshit chapter 30. Bereshit chapter 30. Bereshit chapter 30. In verse 19. Bereshit chapter 30, verse 19. And Leah conceived again, and she bore Yaakov a sixth son. Then Leah said, Elohim has endowed me with a good endowment. Now my husband will honor me, because I have borne him six sons. So she called his name Zabulon. Afterwards she bore a daughter and called her Dinah. Right? You look at all that. He says, so he bore a daughter after all that. And she called her name Dinah. He said, why would he call her name Dinah? This is Bereshit, Genesis chapter 30, verse 21. Genesis chapter 30, verse 21. Genesis chapter 30, verse 21. The word for Dinah means, her name means justice. How you say, Mishpat? How you say justice, judgment? It means judgment. That's what her name means. He said, man, yeah, that one daughter, that don't mean anything. Yeah, it do. He had one daughter. Her name means justice. It do. It mean a whole bunch. You might know, I'm gonna show you. I don't know if I'm doing it, but it says, then Elohim recall, and Elohim listened to her. What do you mean listen to her? Why would Yahuwah listen to her? We just read it in Yeshayahu chapter 1. We just read it in Psalms 11. Why would Yahuwah listen to her? We just read it in the book of James. Why? Because she acts right. Wrongly versus right. Right? You see what he ain't listen. He may offer many prayers. I ain't gonna listen to none you say. You know how people say, Yahuwah gonna listen to me? No, he not. I assure you, if you ain't doing what you're supposed to, you ain't listening to nothing you say. I promise you that. There's too many verses in the Torah because Yahuwah can't lie, so you can't really operate outside of it. Bereshit chapter 30, verse 22. Then Elohim recall, when Yahuwah remember us, we just read in Psalm 106, Psalms 11, and Yeshayahu 1. He said, I remembered their cry. I remembered the covenant that I made. When they cried to me, because it was a sincere type of cry. Because remember, it was a certain type of cry you have to do. A sincere type of humble humility, sanah, anua. Then Elohim recall, and Elohim listened to her and opened her womb. Why? Because he heard her. And she conceived and bore a son and said, Elohim has taken away my reproach. She took away her reproach. Because she acts rightly. She cleaned herself up. She got to the point where she reviewed her life. Like, you ain't written in here, but she reviewed her life. Just like we doing today. You know how we do? We doing it now. We reviewing our life. You going through your life from birth to present, you going through your life, you're reviewing your life, and you got to be sincere, and then guess what? Yahuwah listen to you. And that's what we're doing. Examine yourself to see if you're in a Amunah or not. So when you pray to Yahuwah, he'll hear you. And he will answer you because you ask rightly. And she said, Elohim was taking away my reproach, and she called his name Yusuf. He said, you done took away my reproach. I told you when Yahuwah started rebuking you, he said, remember you were rebuking. He said, Yahuwah has made me happy. I'm going to call his name Asher. The reason why you don't have any, people say, why people don't have children? Because Yahuwah is trying to get you right. So when you have a child, it'll actually take away your reproach. And you won't be like the rival wife with Hannah after you get children and you mouthing at and you mocking the one who ain't got one. Because he don't want you to be like that. So therefore, the child that's going to be born from you after y'all take away, when you finally take away your reproach, they're going to be totally different than all children that's ever been born. Because the righteousness that's inside of you and your humility that you exemplify and the things you cast away and you return to me with your whole heart. When you have a child, that child will be totally different than any other child that's ever been born. Saying, may Yahuwah add to me another son. Because that's what his name means. And as soon as Rachel had born Yusuf, Yaakov said to Laban, right, when you get to that point, notice how what's son with that? Notice what son with that? It was 11th son. Notice how when he gets to the 11th son, he said, it's time to go. He's like, man, it's time to go now. He said to Laban, send me away that I may go to my own country. Give me my wives and my children from whom I served you, that I may go for you, know the service that I have given you. He's like, man, it's time to go. It's 11th son now. It's his 11th son. But Laban said to him, if I have found favor in your sight, I have learned by divination that Yahuwah has baraked me because of you. Name your wages, and I will give it, Yaakov, give it. Because you're going to pay you off. But when he gets to 11th son, man, it's time to go. Right, this book of Isaiah chapter 4, chapter 4. Isaiah chapter 4 and verse 1. Isaiah chapter 4 verse 1, Yeshayahu. And it says, and 7 women shall take hold of one man in that day, saying, we will eat our own bread, wear our own clothes. Only let us be called by your name and take away our reproach. There's only one son. There's a certain type of son that can take away your reproach. There's only one. There's a certain type of son that can take away your reproach. Why? Because it's a certain type of son. Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 16. And because the daughters of Saul are haughtily and walk with outstretched necks and glancing and wantoning with their eyes, mincing along as they go, tinkling with their feet, therefore Yahuwah will strike with the scab the heads of the daughters of Saul. And Yahuwah will lay bare their secret parts. In that day Yahuwah will take away their finery anklets and their headbands and their crescents. Why are you taking it away? Because of their deeds and what they did. Because of the evil deeds of their hands. That's why he's taking it all away. Why? Because you had the righteousness on, right? You had it all on. But then for some reason you start to get, we just said you get overly rich. We just read in the Psalm of Solomon, he said you start to sin. You start to get excess. And you start to sin. And that's what happens. And guess what? The crescents and the pendants and the bracelets and the headdress and the armlets and the sashes and the perfume bottles and the amulets and the signet rings and the nose rings and the festal robes and the mantles and cloaks and the handbags and mirrors and the linen garments and the turbans and the veils. It's a lot of stuff. You're excessive. Like you got too much stuff. And guess what? Instead of perfume, there will be rottenness. Right? And instead of a belt, a rope. And instead of well-set hair, baldness. Right? You're going to see your shame, but guess what happens? And instead of rich robes, a skirt of sackcloth. I'm going to put you in sackcloth and ashes. You're going to be humble again. I'm going to bring you down, make you low. You're going to be black to the ground. I'm going to put you in sackcloth and ashes. Why? And in branding instead of beauty. Why? I'm going to bring you down. That's what happened to Recall. That's what happened to Recall. And then after he did all that, and he humbled all of them down, he said, 7 women shall take hold of 1 man. And he said, then 1 man going to have all his ability. And he said, man, they all going to take hold of you. Saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own clothes, only let us be called by your name. And take away our reproach. Why? And in that day the branch of Yahuwah shall be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the land shall be like the pride and honor of the survivors of Yahusha, just like Yahuwah wanted. I wanted all these fruits of the Ruach on the tree. Now it's going to look like I want it. But I had to take you down. Right, this is Psalm 69. Psalm 69. Psalm 69 and Psalm 69 and 3. Psalm 69 and 3. I am weary with my crying out. My throat is parched. He's like, man, I'm thirsty. My eyes grow dim with waiting for my Elohim. More in number than the hairs of my head. Are those who hate me without a cause. He said, man, you hate me. Why do you think Yahuwah was like, I hate you too? You hate me without a cause. Look at your deeds. What you hate me for? Right? And it says, mighty are those who destroy me. Those who attack me with lies. He's like, look at this. You mighty as heck. What did I steal? What I did not steal? Must I now restore? I ain't steal from you. Now people falsely accuse you. You stole that from me. I ain't steal nothing from you. You want me to restore something I ain't never steal? Oh, Elohim, you know my folly. The wrongs that I have done are not hidden from you. I mean, we just read, you see everything. Well, you gonna act like I don't hear you. Yahuwah see everything. Let not those who hope in you be put to shame through me. Oh, Yahuwah Elohim of hosts. You don't let them be put to shame through me. Let not those who seek you be brought to dishonor through me, O Elohim and Yahusha, for it is for your sake I have borne reproach. Because we know why the women were like, take away our reproach? Because they were too weak to carry it. Because the strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak. He said, please carry our reproach. They were too weak to carry it. That's the only reason. That dishonor has covered my face. We just read it. He said, you're going to be honored, right? He said, you're going to get your honor. But guess what? Dishonor has covered Yahuwah's face, Yahusha's face. I have become a stranger to my brothers and an alien to my mother's sons, for the zeal of the house has consumed me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He said, but now you become consuming and rottenness to my branch. You're consuming the branch, you're consuming envy and jealousy and murder and strife and quarreling. But guess what Yahusha did? For the zeal of your house has consumed me, and the reproaches of those who reproach you have fallen on me. That's why all those women had to take away our reproach. It's all falling on Yahusha Mashiach. Why? Because now the reproach was a woman, they couldn't have a child because all their men died in the sword. They didn't have nobody. So they needed somebody to get them a child so they could be pregnant. So they can actually take away their reproach. But Yahusha said, I'll bear your reproach. I'll take away your reproach by laying down my life. And by me laying down my life and taking away your reproach, because I knew you weren't strong enough to carry it in the first place. Just like all those things they had to get rid of to lighten your load. But then you realize on the inward man, after you got rid of those outer things, on the inner man, you had a lot of loads on the inside that were so hard to carry. And it wasn't necessarily material possessions that it really meant nothing. That was easy for you to give you, but it was really the things on the inside that was holding you down. So when I made sackcloth my clothing, I became a byword to them. That's what happens when you make sackcloth your clothing. You become. I told you to have a byword and be a byword and a laughing stock, and a byword and a proverb is better than to be praised in the world. I told you that, right? I am the talk of those who sit in the gate, and drunkards make songs about me. They're gonna laugh at you. They drunk and they're gonna be laughing, making songs about you, and laughing and mocking you, but not even knowing it's better to be in that state. But as for me, my prayer is to you, O Yahuwah. Now you see why you're going to hear my prayer. He said, why are you going to hear your prayer? Because Yahuwah hears the prayer of the humble. You're going to lift your hands up to him. He said, and yes, Yah, he said, I ain't going to listen to you. But when you cast it all away, Yahuwah said, you ask rightly, Yahuwah going to hear you. At the acceptable time, O Elohim, in the abundance of your steadfast love, answer me in your saving faithfulness. Deliver me from the sinking mirror. Let me be delivered from my enemies and from the deep waters. Let not the flood sweep over me. We just talked about the flood. You're going to be visited by Yahuwah, right? All these things going to happen. But he said, let not the flood sweep over me, or the deep swallow me up, or the pit close its mouth over me. Now you see why. He will speak it once, yea, twice. Man perceiveth it not, in the vision and the dream, in the deep sleep of the night, that he may hide pride from men, that he may deliver them from the pit and from the sword. Because that's all a part of your life, right? That's all a part of your life. I'm almost finished. All right, so this is the book of Pseudepigrapha. Pseudepigrapha, fourth book of Azra, Pseudepigrapha, volume 2. Volume 1, actually. Fourth book of Azra, volume 1, Pseudepigrapha. Chapter 16 and verse 52. Therefore, do not be like her or her works, for behold, in just a little while, and iniquity will be removed from the earth. So if you got iniquity, you're going to be removed from the earth. And righteousness will reign forever, reign over us. Let no sinner say that he has not sinned. For Elohim will burn coals of fire on the head of him who says, I have not sinned before Elohim and his kabod. Behold, Yahuwah knows all the works of men, their imaginations and their thoughts, and of their hearts. He said, let the earth be made, and it was made. Let the Shamyns be made, and it was made. And at his word, the stars were fixed. And he knows the numbers of the stars. It is he who searches the deeps and its treasures, who has measured the sea and its contents, who has enclosed the sea in the midst of the waters. And his words were suspended the earth. The words suspended the earth over the waters. Who has spread out the Shamyms like an arch, and founded it upon the waters. Who has put the streams of the waters in the desert, and the pools to the tops of the mountains, to send the rivers from the heights to the water of the earth. Who formed man, and put a heart in the midst of his body, and gave him breath and life and understanding, in the spirit of the Almighty Elohim. Who has made all things, and searches out the hidden things in hidden places. Surely he knows your imaginations and what you think in your hearts. Woe to those who sin and want to hide their sins. Because Yahuwah will strictly examine all their works and will make a public spectacle of all of you. And when your sins come out before men, you shall be put to shame, and your own iniquities shall stand as your accusers in that day. Right? Because all that's a part of it. Well, that's another version of it. But each version is different. But that was the version when you seen Yahusha bearing the sin in the public. And it was all their sin, but yet he bore all their sin in the public. And in his humiliation, he opened not his mouth. Why? Because of the guilt that was on him. And being in humiliation, he opened out his mouth. He was a laughingstock in the city, and he was a byword and a proverb. But yet he was still in sackcloth and ashes. Why do you think they darkened the cloud from the 6th to the 9th hour? And he was crying out to his father. And he was a proverb and a byword because of the sins of the people and the things that they did, not the things that he did. And that should have been us doing that and not him. That's why he said, I'm going to bring you down. He has to, because he only answers the prayers of the humble. Right? Right, it's the book of Revelations. The book of Revelations and the book of Revelations. Book of Revelations, chapter 3. Book of Revelations. Actually, no. Sorry. Gotta get out of here. Yeah. Yeah, book of Revelation chapter 3 verse 1. Actually 3 and 1. That's 3 and 4. 3 and 3. Remember then what you received and heard, and keep it and repent. If you will not wake up, I will come like a thief, and you will not know at what hour I will come against you. That's why he said, the father waited from the daughter, and he rises when no man knows. Because he want to catch you right now. And he lose sleep too. He don't slumber nor, Yahuwah don't slumber nor sleep. He's going to rise up when you least expect it. It says, yet you have still a few names in Sardis and people who have not soiled their garments, and they will walk with me in white, for they are worthy. The one who conquers will be clothed thus in white garments, and I will not blot his name out of the book of life, and I will confess his name before my Father and before the Malachim. Why? He said, why he gonna do that? He said, why he gonna do that? Because of your deeds. Because of your deeds. This is Revelation chapter 19 and verse 7. Revelation chapter 19 verse 7. Revelation chapter 19 verse 7. Let us rejoice and exult and give him kabod. Then we just read in Psalms. He said, you want to gather us to give kabod to your name. That's what we want him to gather us for. To give praise to your name. That's what we want to do. Not the reason other people want to do it. Let us rejoice and exult and give kabod, give him glory. For the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his bride has made herself ready with what? What type of readiness you need to have? It was granted her to be clothed herself with fine linen and pure. I mean fine linen. He said, though your garments be red like crimson and scarlet, he said, I'm gonna make them white like wool. I'm gonna make them clean and white. Why? It was granted her to make herself ready. It was granted her to be clothed herself with fine linen, bright and pure. For the fine linen is the righteous deeds of the saints. The Kaddish, your deeds, what you did. That's the righteous linen, the white clothes you got on. Because what did he do to the daughters of Son in Yeshayahu chapter 3, verse 16 to the end? He took away their linen. He took away their garments and their clothes and all the things. Why? Because they had on the righteous clothes. Outwardly they looked like they righteous, but then inwardly they were of Satan. So he said, I'm going to take all your clothes away. Now you're going to focus on your deeds and what you did. And then I'm going to send somebody to take away your reproach. By him taking away your reproach, now your deeds can be, how you say, you can amend your deeds, the things you do. Why? Because if you start doing the deeds of the world, this is what you're going to be. Right, this is the book of 1 Corinthians. Man, I need to stop. Yeah, so here we go. This is the book of 1 Corinthians. This is the book of 1 Corinthians. He said, why? This is what you're going to be if you don't amend your deeds, the things you do. This is 2 Corinthians 11 and 12. 2 Corinthians 11 and 12. And what I am doing, I will continue to do in order to undermine the claim of those who like to claim that in their boasted mission, they work on the same terms as we do. For such men are false shalakim, deceitful workmen and workwomen. Right? They women too, disguising themselves as shalakim or Mashiachs. Because they got on the righteous clothes, they look like something. But on the inside, what do they got? And no wonder that even Satan disguises himself as a Malachi alike, clean and righteous and pure and white. And it is no surprise if his servants also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness. Their end will correspond to their deeds. They look like it, but they got all the gods and they swindle, extortion. They do all the things that Yahuwah hate. He said, Yahuwah said, I hate you. That's what it says. I repeat. Why do you think he repeating? Because Yahuwah speaking once, said twice. Let no one think me foolish. Please, go through the book. He says, please don't think I'm dumb. But even if you do, accept me as a fool, so that I too may boast a little. What I am saying with this, boastful confidence, I say not as Yahuwah would, but as a fool. Since many boast according to the flesh, I too will boast. For you gladly bear with fools, being wise yourselves. For you bear it if someone makes slaves of you, or devours you, or takes advantage of you, or puts on airs and strikes you in the face, right? Them all men of falsehood. To my shame, I must say we were too weak for that. You say, man, I'm too weak for that. Because there's only one person who allowed me to bear that. And I'm way too weak for that. But whatsoever anyone else dares to boast of, I am speaking as a fool. I also dare to boast of that. Are they Hebrews? Abri, so am I. Right. This is ODE Shalom 11, 1 through 16. My heart was pruned and the flower appeared, and Khan sprang up in me and produced fruits to Yahuwah. For the Most High circumcised me by his Kudash Ruach, then uncovered my inward being toward him and filled me with his love. And his circumcising became my salvation, and I ran in the way of peace, in the way of truth. From the beginning unto the end, I received his knowledge. And I was established upon a rock of truth where he has sent me. And speaking waters touched my lips, and springs of Yahuwah generously. So I drank and became intoxicated with his living water that does not die. And my intoxication was not with ignorance, but I abandoned vanity. Don't think me a fool. And turned toward the Most High, my Elohim, and he enriched me with his favors. Yahuwah has taken away my reproach. And I abandoned folly and cast upon the earth and stripped it off and cast it from me. He said, I went in sackcloth and ashes. And Yahuwah renewed me by his garment and possessed by his light. He's been renewed in the ruach of his mind. He said, they who wait on Yahuwah shall renew their strength. But then guess what? The wicked gonna shoot their arrows at you though once you start flying. They're gonna shoot at you. And from above he gave me immortal rest, because Yahuwah says high above all. And I became like the land which blossoms and rejoices in its fruits. And Yahuwah is like the sun upon the face of the land. And my eyes were enlightened and my face received the dew, and my breath was refreshed by the pleasant fragrance of Yahuwah. And he took me to his paradise, wherein is the wealth of Yahuwah's treasures, his pleasures, right? Sirach 3:17-23. My son and daughter, go on thy business in Aydah and humble. Yahuwah hear your prayer. But if you ask wrongly, you ain't. So shalt thou be beloved of him that is approved. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before Yahuwah. Why? Many are in high places of renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the Aydah. Sanah, Anuah. For the power of Yahuwah is great and honor with the lowly. He ain't honored with those we say we want to be gathered to give praise to Yahuwah's name, to give kabod to his name, not for the reasons other people want to be gathered for, and to do the things that they think that Yahuwah is pleased with. That's not what he wants for his people. Seek not out things too hard for thee, neither search for things that are above thy strength. Why? Because it's above your strength, and you're going to lose your strength. And you're going to become weak. And you know what happens after that? Then you got to cast all them weights aside, and you got to become weak again. You got to wait for Yahuwah to renew your strength again. For Yahuwah going to give strength to his people. He's going to rock them with peace. And the only way you're going to get it is through peace. Shalom. Because there's no peace save Yahuwah to the wicked. Because Yahuwah hate the wicked. But he shows kind to the humble. Verse 22, but what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence, for it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret. That's only for Yahuwah to see. When he see you in secret, he reward you openly. When a human being see you in secret, reward you openly. Oh, you trying to renew your wings, huh? You in your closet, you trying to pray, you trying to get your wings back. You trying to hurry up and trying to get them prayers in so you will hear your prayer and you get your wings back and you can start flying again. Because that's what they're going to do when they see you in secret doing it. Because they know you're going to renew your strength and you know you're going to fly again, so they're going to try to attack you. It's not needful for them to see. It's not needful for you to see what's in secret. None of your business. Verse 23, be not curious in unnecessary matters. It just waits. It's just worthless. For more things are showed unto thee than men and women and children and creatures of the earth. They're watching you every day when you walk outside and look at you. They understand, right? Because all the creatures look up in the air when they're hungry, and you who are feeding them. They look up to you and say, rain and snow, please. You know when your rain comes, you know that grass will grow back overnight. So we look at all that, we look at Yahusha Mashiach, we look at the light of life, we look at the true light, which light every man that comes in the way. For Yahuwah is like the sun, his son Yahusha is like the sun. And his rays, when they touch you, he said, man, it'll make you sprout up like wings. And matter of fact, man, it'll make your face to shine. So we look at ourselves until the day dawn and day star arise in your heart. And when it arises in your heart, he said, blossom. And a lot of pleasant fragrances to be radiate off of you, like lavender. Like the very pleasant tulips, or even the very pleasant Qahalath lilies. And you yourself be a very pleasant thing that people may see. Knowing that this life is only temporary. We should not seek the praise of men, for that is an abomination of Yahuwah, but seek the praise that comes from the highest Shamy'n. And that's only attained through humility in the kabod of his name. So we look at his life and we look at Yahusha Mashiach, and we look at Yahuwah's providing the light. Is providing understanding. And he's giving that understanding that we must put away the old self that we may put on the new. The old way, and the old paths that old men walked in, that only led to the very plagues that plague this world even today. And not to do after the world and the worldly men and messengers of Satan who clothe themselves in righteousness. And they look like clean and white and linen and clothed in righteousness, but they are the works of Satan on the inside. And these things are a part of our life, and people must see within themselves. And it's none of your business if they see it. It's none of your business if they don't. He said, you just focus on you, yourself. For if they don't see it, it's because Yahuwah don't want them to see it. He said, if we were blind, you will have no guilt. But then that you say you see, your guilt remains. So we look at ourselves, we don't want our guilt to remain. We want to be honest with ourselves and our inner man, our inner being, every single day. For the meek shall inherit the earth. The Anu, the Anah, the Sanaa Anua shall inherit the Alliance.